Okay, welcome back. This is Mr. Hassan's Maths channel, and I'm answering question number 2 from the February-March 2020 Pure Mathematics 2, paper 2 from Cambridge, AS level 9709. This is paper 2 and variant 1. And this question is from, as I've mentioned before, P2 for Cambridge, which is completely contained within P3. So questions from the P2 paper are very much relevant to the P3 paper, so I'm doing this question to help my students. Here we have a question involving algebraic long division. We're told to find the quotient when 4x cubed plus 17x squared plus 9x is divided by x squared plus 5x plus 6, and we have to show that the remainder is 18. So when we have a question like this, we always put what the denominator, which is after the division sign, divided by in the outside of our division, and the numerator on the inside. So we make a little bus stop, as we could say. Okay, and on the outside I'm going to write the denominator, which is x squared plus 5x plus 6. On the inside I'm going to put the numerator, which is 4x cubed. To make sure there's nothing missing. X cubed, x squared, x is just the constant missing, so I'm going to put 0 in that place. Anything missing, you have to put 0 in place of it. Okay, for example, if there was no x squared term, I'd put 0x squared. Everything falls in the right place. I'm just going to put 0 at the end, plus 0 to have a place for the constants, and then I simply do my long division. Now with long division, you just focus first on the first term of this expression and the first term of that expression, and you ask yourself, what do you have to multiply by 4x squared to give you, so by x squared to give you 4x cubed? Well, we need a 4 and we need an x. 4x times x squared gives us 4x cubed, and then we basically multiply 4x by the terms that we have here. So 4x times x squared is 4x cubed. It should be the same as this, otherwise we've done something wrong. Then 4x times 5x, that's plus 20x squared, and 4x times 6 is plus 24x. And then I'm going to subtract this line, and I always like to write here a bracket and minus, just so I don't mess up with them, especially with the minus signs. Here they're all positive, so it's not a big deal. So 4x, now we got to subtract these two lines. So 4x cubed minus 4x cubed is 0, as it should be. 17x squared minus 20x squared, that should be, sorry, 20x squared. 4x times 5x is plus 20x squared. Be careful with that. X squared should be in line with each other. 17x squared minus 20x squared is negative 3x squared. And 9x minus 24x is going to be negative, I think that's 15x. Okay, negative 15x, that's right. I'm going to put plus 0. And now I'm going to do the same thing again, go through the same process. X squared into x squared times something gives you negative 3x squared, must be negative 3 and a negative 3 basically. X squared times negative 3 gives you negative 3x squared, so we actually multiply these terms. So negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. These should be the same, means we've done it right. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15x, and then we have negative 3 times 6 is negative 18, and then we've got to do the same thing. We've got to subtract these two lines. Okay, as I said, I like to put a minus sign outside here, so I'm subtracting. So minus 3x squared minus 3x squared is going to be 0, as we know it should be. Minus 15x minus 15 is going to be minus 15x plus 15x, which is 0 again, and you have 0 minus 18, which is going to be positive 18. So we can see here that this is the remainder, so we can say the quotient is 4x minus 3, as they told us to find. That's the quotient up here, and the remainder is equal to 18. Okay, it says show that find the quotient, which we found here, and show that the remainder is 18. So there's part A done of this question. Okay, now for part B. It says here, hence solve the equation. Now when you ever see a question saying hence, okay, it means using your previous result. Okay, so we've basically, what we can say is when I divide 4x cubed plus 17x plus 9x by x squared plus 5x plus 6, I get 4x minus 3 and remainder 18. So let me write that down. So when we know I'm taking the original result, which is 4x cubed plus 17x squared plus 9x, okay, and you can see the difference between here, there's negative 18, and here the remainder is 18, so we can see they're very much related. and I'll show you how they're related in a clear way. So you have this divided by x squared plus 5x plus 6. That's equal to, when you divide them, you get our quotient, which was 4x minus 3. And you get plus the remainder, which is 18, over the original denominator, which is this x squared plus 5x plus 6. So we know that this is true. Now, if I multiply both sides, if I multiply by x squared plus 5x plus 6, both sides of this, I'll end up on this side with 4x cubed plus 17x squared plus 9x equals, and this will be 4x minus 3 times this whole bracket, because here it cancels out. If I multiply by this both sides, what happens is this cancels out, and you're left with that. And on this side, 4x minus 3 is multiplied by this x squared plus 5x plus 6. And when I multiply 18 by this, they cancel out, leaving you with plus 18. Now, what we want to do is we want to solve this equation. So we can see this is like the result from our part A. And I can see that they're the same, except it has minus 18. So if I subtract 18 from both sides, I have 4x cubed plus 17x squared plus 9x. If I take away 18 from there, I have to also take away 18 from here. So 4x minus 3 times x squared plus 5x plus 6 plus 18 minus 18. They've gone. So I know that this is the same as that. So I can rewrite this equation, which we have to solve, 4x cubed plus 17x squared plus 9x minus 18 equals 0, as 4x minus 3 times x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So now I've kind of like almost got there. I can factorize this last bracket here. This is a quadratic which factorizes, I think, as a quadratic with x plus 3 and x plus 2. Two numbers multiplied to give you 6 and add to give you 5. So now we have completely factorized this expression. So we can write this as 4x minus 3 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0, in which case x is equal to, add 3 divided by 4, 3/4, and x is equal to negative 3, and x is equal to negative 2. So these are our three solutions for this equation here, which we solved using the result from the first equation. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to factorize this very easily. We'd have to guess some factors, but we kind of were asked to use the first answer, and this is how you'd use the first answer. Okay, because if you divide these, you end up with, this is your quotient, this is your remainder, multiplying through by x squared plus 5x plus 6, you see you're left with this. Take away 18 from this side and that side, you have now got this in factorized form, and you can then fully factorize and solve. So that concludes question number 2 from the February-March 2020 paper, all to do with algebraic long division and kind of like the factor theorem. So if you would like to see other questions from this paper, the playlist should appear in the top right of the screen at the end of the video here. Other questions dealing with the factor theorem and algebraic long division from my P2 and P3 material of Cambridge, you can find in the playlist over here. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking on this link, and the video that's linked up here will take you or show you how to use my channel to find what you're looking for. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.